from the Swinford Media Group and the independent newspaper. With the best stories from Herrin, Illinois. It's time for Herrin Live.
Hello and welcome to the very first installment of Herrin Live. I'm Rachel Stroud.
And I'm Riley Swinford. This new production is a part of the Swinford Media Group's growing list of productions, which includes the Herrin Independent newspaper, along with our Carterville Courier and Marion Star newspapers and the Marion Star Live newscast. But this program especially will focus on Herrin and all the events happening in and around the Herrin area.
That's right, Riley. Herrin is rich in history and has a very promising future, and we're looking forward to telling you about both. Coming up a little bit later in the show, we're going to bring you a very special segment called Turning Back Time, which will give you a little look back in some important parts of Herrin's history.
But most importantly, this show will focus on events happening in Herrin in the present and in the future. And speaking of which, we're halfway through the month of July, which means that we're just about a month away from the start of the high school football season. That's why we're here live today at the Harrison Bruce High School Football and Track Complex, where in just a few minutes we'll hear from the Herrin High School administration and football coach, along with administrators from Marion, as well about a very special game that will kick off the upcoming season in just about a month here at this field. Let's take a look.
That's right, Riley. The classic Herrin-Marion rivalry is being revived this season as both teams have agreed to meet up on the football field for their first game of this upcoming season.
I'm now joined by Herrin High School Athletic Director Andrew Anderson and the new coach of the Tigers, Taylor Perry. Andrew, you've been a Herrin native your whole life. You've grown up around this rivalry. You know it's always a good time when the Tigers and Wildcats get together.
Oh yeah, it's always electrifying. No matter what team, no matter where you're playing at, you always end up having a good game. Whether you're coming in as a favorite or they're coming in as a favorite, it's always competitive. The kids know each other. We play each other in a lot of sports. It's gone back for decades that we've played one another, and it's a great game. The crowds are always jam-packed, and it's just a great atmosphere.
And Coach, it's going to be your first night out here as the head coach of the Tigers. Some coaches would schedule a cupcake opponent to kind of ease into things, but you're going right for a team with a lot of recent success, a lot of recent tradition, string of 15-plus playoff appearances. But that's the way you like it, right? To start the season off with a tough opponent and an electric atmosphere.
Yeah, it's going to be a great atmosphere. We expect it to be like a playoff game. And honestly, both programs have been super successful over the past 20 years, so we expect it to be a really competitive game.
And last year with the shortened spring season because of COVID, this place limited capacity, just like all football stadiums across the country. As things start to continue to reopen and get back to normal this fall, talk about reintroducing these kids to playing in front of fans. This place is going to be rocking.
Oh, it will be, and that's that's the excitement of it. Being able to have a stand full of people. You look at it, you'll have a whole bunch of people lined up. There'll be standing room only, but that's what it's about. That's what high school sports are about. We're 15 minutes away from each other, school to school, basically. It was time to bring it back. It's time to get the ball rolling and get both these teams playing week one.
I agree. Well, I appreciate you guys, and we're excited to look forward to that next month.
Thank you, Riley. When we come back, we'll talk to the new executive director of the Herrin Chamber of Commerce, have a chat with the mayor, and take a look at a new mural being painted downtown. We'll also have that Turning Back Time segment that we think you will really enjoy. Stay with us.
The dual credit and dual enrollment program is for high school students that are interested in earning John A. Logan credit. And for dual credit, oftentimes students can get high school and college credit at the same time by taking one class. And with dual enrollment, it's most often just for John A. Logan credit, but either way, they're earning early college credit. The dual credit program is here to help students navigate through all of their opportunities.
Welcome back here at the Harrison Bruce High School Football and Track Complex in Herrin. Coming out of commercial, you saw some of the very impressive facilities that the Tigers have to work with here, including their very impressive weight room and locker room facilities underneath the press box. Now, a staple on our Marion Star Live program every single week is a Turning Back Time feature that our Bill Swinford compiles. As we start this new Herrin Live show, there will also be a staple here. In his first installment of our Herrin Turning Back Time series, Bill will tell you a little bit about the history of Herrin and some of the tradition that Herrin has to offer. Let's take a look.
First cousins David Ruffin Harrison and Ephraim Snyder Herrin conducted a village survey in 1896, platting 40 acres that had first been settled by their great-grandfather, Isaac Herring. Just a few years earlier, large deposits of coal had been found under Herrin's Prairie, which had been inhabited and mostly farmed for more than 75 years, and which some folks still called Buckhorn. Soon after their survey, a railroad line was run through the young village, and mine shafts were sunk. In rapid succession, a handful of coal mines were opened in and around the village. The grand home belonging to Mr. D.R. Harrison sat on a farm north of Herrin's Prairie. He had been a gentleman farmer and the local postmaster, but he was ready to start a new life as a businessman in the new town that he helped to plan. In 1900, the same year that Herrin was officially incorporated as a city, Harrison sold his big house, his farm, and most everything he owned. He built a new home and moved his family to 201 South 13th Street in Herrin. That house is now the inner core of the Johnson Hughes Funeral Home next to Herrin Hospital. D.R. Harrison also organized and became president of the First National Bank of Herrin in the corner building at Park Avenue in Monroe that now houses Baldwin Piano and Organ Center. Just down the street, an Italian immigrant, railroad engineer, saloon keeper, and real estate developer named Louis Dell'Era began building homes near the railroad tracks. This home, pictured in 1900, still exists today at the corner of Monroe and 13th Streets. Dell'Era went on to build an opera house and the European Hotel, among other developments in Herrin. Other Italians with names like Colombo and Berra joined Dell'Era in Herrin. Along Washington Street, now named North 14th Street, a Rome Club and Lombard Society building sprung up to serve the Italian-speaking population. The Herrin House of Hope now operates in this block. Right across the street now is a coal miners' memorial. While much of Herrin's early growth and prosperity can be attributed to the dozens of mines within a short walk of the town's most notorious moment was also mine-related. In 1922, striking miners engaged in a standoff with non-union miners at a strip mine northeast of Herrin. The striking miners captured and marched the men they called scabs out of the mine and toward the Herrin Cemetery, where 20 of them were killed and others were wounded. Dubbed the Herrin Massacre, the incident was all over the national press and was documented in best-selling books like Bloody Williamson. That same book told of other violent events in Williamson County, such as the Ku Klux Klan presence that, as hard as it is to believe today, some thought would restore law and order to the region. But the Klan's presence only brought more gun battles and bloodshed. KKK leader S. Glenn Young engaged in a shootout with Sheriff's Deputy Ora Thomas at Dell'Era's European Hotel in downtown Herrin. Both were killed, and it's telling that the Klan leader's funeral procession was longer than the county lawman's. The first 3 decades of the 20th century in the Herrin area were both prosperous and unstable. MP Zwick, who once sold merchandise from house to house on Herrin's Prairie, opened his first store in 1900. By the 1930s, he and his family operated 4 stores in Herrin and other stores in other cities. Where there was once this old home on Polk Street, a new high school emerged in the second decade of the 20th century. By 1927, Herrin Township High School had a powerhouse football program. According to the school yearbook called the Buckhorn Tattler, the team went 7-1 with 1 tie. Most importantly, they shut out Marion 18-0 to close out the season. From a write-up about the game, it's obvious that the Williamson County rivalry was already a hot one. The Herrin football team was coached by Doc Palmer, who would later have the team's football field named for him. That field, then located behind the high school, carried Palmer's name for another 7 decades. But it was 1927, and the KKK mysteriously even found its way into a collage celebrating the team. D.R. Harrison had seen much success at the bank and his other ventures in the growing town. Sadly, though, one of his daughters met a tragic fate. Ella Harrison had married John C. Hunley, one of Carbondale's prominent citizens, and it was Ella Harrison Hunley and her husband who were the victims of the grisly 1928 murders in Carbondale's Hunley house, which many believe to be haunted to this day. As the savage 20s came winding down, it was hoped that better times were ahead. It was not to be, at least immediately, because the Great Depression loomed. A statue of a World War I doughboy was erected in the center of Park Avenue between Del Era's European Hotel, D.R. Harrison's First National Bank, and Mr. Zwick's stores. It was put in place to honor the war dead, and today the statue still stands just a few blocks away. At least something good came out of that decade in Herrin. And whatever became of D.R. Harrison's farmhouse north of town? Well, a coal mining company bought the home in Harrison's 1900 auction, and it served as a home to mine superintendents until the mid-1930s. It then came back to the Harrison family when it was bought by Mr. Harrison's great-nephew, Leonard Pope, until 1946 when he sold the house to Sam and Ruby Talley. After being out of the family for nearly 3 decades, D.R. Harrison's granddaughter Julia Harrison Bruce arranged to purchase the house from the Talleys as her personal way of celebrating our nation's bicentennial. The sale was completed in September 1975. The china displayed on the dining table, as well as some of the books in the Harrison House collection, belonged to the Talley family. There are also numerous artifacts in the Harrison House that came from the Pope family. In recent years, the Harrison House was disassembled and rebuilt as part of an historical display on the campus of John A. Logan College in Carterville. There, at the Harrison Bruce Historical Village, visitors can still learn the ways of Herrin's founders when they farmed the prairie called Buckhorn. There is so much more Herrin history to share, including the history of the amazing White City Park and the industrial growth of the 1940s, 50s, and 60s. Thanks to the Williamson County Historical Society and their great WCIHS.org website for information and images shared here. Also thanks to Arcadia Wealth Group for supporting all of the Swinford Media Group's history lessons. Reporting for Herrin Live, I'm Bill Swinford.
Thanks, Bill. Recently, our Dennis Kellerman had the opportunity to interview Scott Kinley, who's the new director of the Herrin Chamber of Commerce. Scott is also an alderman for the City of Herrin and has an impressive background in many different areas. Let's go take a look at that now.
Well, I'm a lifelong citizen of Herrin, and I'm also a person who believes that you have to give back. So I ran for city council. I lost the first time. Then I was appointed to the city council to fill the term of Marilyn Orso, who retired from the council. I ran, I was elected, and then I just ran again and elected again. So, to me, you've just got to put yourself out there and do whatever it takes for your communities. I'm a big believer that you have to seek new opportunities, but you also have to take care of what you have. You have to be a good steward. So to me, while we are seeking new businesses, we are seeking new members to the Chamber of Commerce, let's not forget our current members and make sure that they're taking something home, that they're getting something out of the Chamber. And I think that will serve us well. There are 3 major prongs, in my opinion, to success within the City of Herrin. Number 1 is city government itself. I'm a city councilman. The second thing is our civic center. We have a jewel right here in Southern Illinois. It's beautiful. Richard Melvin is the executive director there. He does a wonderful job. I serve on the civic center board. And the other is the Chamber of Commerce. Now I'm executive director. So I'm hoping that I have a unique skill set to bring them even closer together and to work as a team.
The City of Herrin and the Herrin Chamber of Commerce find it very important to work arm in arm to make life better for Herrin residents. We recently checked in with Steve Fertini at Herrin City Hall to hear about the newest projects in the works. Here's what the mayor had to say.
One of the nice things we just were awarded a downtown pedestrian safety grant, if you will. That's not necessarily the exact proper term, but I'd add it. Safety enhancement grant, $1.6 million worth. That's for sidewalk improvements, crossing improvements, where there'll be some spots here on 148 Park Avenue that on a couple of locations that there'll be a safety island out where it's now in the center turn lane, where a person can get part way across the street and the light should change, or they just need to stop and rest a second. Be a safety place there for them to do that. It will bring up to current ADA standards all of the crossings on the sidewalks across the street, ADA compliant. We've been doing some of those along the way where we could and what have you. This will take care of it all. It'll provide for some bump outs and parking, a little bit different parking situation, if you will, along Park Avenue, and all new lighting as well, which part of this will actually trickle over into an improved look, if you will, enhancement of how we look as a downtown Main Street, but most importantly, the safety aspects of people crossing streets and things of that nature. Yeah, it's a major undertaking, will be. So we'll have stuff torn up here for a while. It's not going to all happen overnight. We've done some of the preliminary engineering from a previous grant that we had, and now we have the construction phase of the grant, which will include more detailed engineering and actual work. And these big Cobra headlights that on the rusty poles you see hanging over Park Avenue, they will go away once this is completed.
We'll be back after this with a news roundup, that promised mural project, and a few other notes. Don't go anywhere.
Logan Fitness at John A. Logan College is open and operating safely for your health. Temperature screening, mask policies, spacious facilities, and frequent cleaning make Logan Fitness the safest location for indoor exercise. Our staff goes the extra mile to ensure that the facility is always clean and regularly disinfected for a great member experience. In addition, our large open areas make it easy to accomplish your workout while still maintaining social distance. All for an affordable price with no contracts. Come see what we're all about at Logan Fitness.
Bianca Shad Owens admits that when she was notified that she and her 3 children would be moving into the newest Habitat for Humanity home, that the happy tears started to flow.
Well, they've done a lot for me. I definitely wasn't expecting to actually get the house, and it was, I'm not gonna lie, I did cry a lot when I found out from happiness, you know. It's very emotional.
Bianca will be joined in her new home on South 22nd Street in Herrin by 2 daughters, 1 son, and their pet basset hound, Randy. This is the 24th home built by Habitat for Humanity of Williamson County, who held a dedication ceremony Thursday that included many of those who helped make the project possible.
This is one of our larger homes that we build, and even in the middle of the pandemic, this house was being worked on. Last year it was started, and we finished it this year, and we're so happy to be able to provide a low-cost home for a resident of Williamson County. We're a Christian-based organization, and we want to show the love of God to our fellow neighbors, and so we were able to do that with this home.
John A. Logan College's Applied Technologies program again helped with the construction of the Habitat home. The program's constructions management class helps with foundation and framing work, while the HVAC class installs the climate control systems.
Well, Johnny Logan Applied Technologies program, specifically our construction management and our HVAC, or heating, ventilation, air conditioning, have been involved in multiple habitat builds here within the two-county area, especially within Williamson County. And we're just happy to be a part of it just because our students can get some real-world experience, on-the-job experience, but more importantly, a family's going to benefit from a new home.
Herrin Mayor Steve Frattini was on hand for the ceremony and understands the importance of habitat projects.
We're really happy that the city is a partner in this, and being able to donate some lots from time to time, different spots around town, to help facilitate what's happening today.
Habitat for Humanity hopes to start work on house number 25 this fall. Sadly, the Herrin Police Department announced on Thursday afternoon that their canine officer, Crush, has passed away unexpectedly. The police department issued the following statement on social media. It's with great sadness the Herrin Police announced the unexpected passing of a member of our department, Canine Crush, a 6-year-old Belgian Malinois. During his career, Canine Crush was responsible for the locating of and seizing hundreds of pounds of illegal drugs, multiple felony apprehensions, multiple tracking of fleeing felons, and locating lost or endangered subjects. He was called an incredible asset to the Herrin Police Department, and he will be missed. The Williamson County Sheriff's Office is investigating after skeletal remains were recovered in the Crab Orchard National Wildlife Refuge Thursday morning. The Sheriff's Office is being assisted by U.S. Fish and Wildlife, the Illinois State Police Crime Scene Services, and Williamson County Coroner Mike Jr. Burke. No information is yet available as to the identity of the deceased. And SIH Herrin Hospital was recently presented with an award for record number of organ donations over the past 2 years. Mid-America Transplant awarded SIH Herrin Hospital with the Gift of Life Donor Medal for its commitment to organ and tissue donation. Thanks to Dennis Kellerman and Aaron Price for their reporting on this roundup. Now back to Riley and Rachel.
Welcome back. Civic volunteer and local artist Jan Griffith is a woman of many talents, painting being one of them.
She's recently been painting one of the great buildings in downtown Herrin, and she told our Dennis Kellerman all about it.
I have participated in a couple of other murals with Chris Killman and Janet Bixler, and they are great to work with, but this one was a small project, and I just wanted to do it. And so the gal that owns this building, she and her husband, wanted something on this wall. They wanted the photo op kind of thing on this wall, so people could come up here and have their picture made with the wings, and you know, it'll say Herrin, Illinois up at the top, so that they'll know where they are. And it's a challenge. I drew the thing, I painted it on the canvas, and so I really enjoyed community activities like this. I belong to the Little Egypt Art Association in Marion. I was a charter member years ago, but got involved with my work and my kids and other things and dropped out for a while. And so I've been back now ever since my husband passed away 4.5 years ago. So I just started looking for things to do that would fulfill, you know, my hobbies. And art has always been one of my hobbies. I've loved art since I was in the 8th grade. A lot of people who watch this might remember Mrs. Straker at the junior high school in Herrin, and she taught art, you know. And so I've done it off and on. And then when I had kids, I do fiber art or something where they couldn't get into my paints, you know. Just, you know, do classes. And I remember my husband saying, "Janice, what are you going to do with all these paintings?" I said, "Just give them away, you know." I call this my magnum opus because I'm hitting the big 3/4 century mark this August. This may be my last mural, but at least it's, you know, it's mine. I'll probably help with some more.
As Jan mentioned, she was involved last year with decorating for Herrin's Hometown Christmas, which we got to be a part of by bringing you a live stream presentation of the whole thing. You can go back and check it out on our Facebook page. It is archived. We are pleased to again help promote the upcoming celebration in November and a fundraiser happening later this month. The Christmas in July Trivia Night will take place on Saturday, July 31st at the Herrin Civic Center and is sure to be a night of fun for a good cause, which is raising money to purchase even more decorations to spread the festivities further up and down Park Avenue. There are still a few tables left, and they are just $150. To reserve your spot, contact Candy Calcaterra at 618-925-4036.
That will just about wrap up our first installment of Herrin Live, a new at least monthly news magazine program we will bring you live here on the Herrin Independent Facebook page to show you all the latest news and happenings in and around the great town of Herrin. Now, Rachel, while the Swinford family might be best known from being from Marion now, we have a long history with the town of Herrin going back to the 1960s when my grandparents Don and Marilyn Swinford moved to town. My grandfather Don Swinford was a civic leader. He was a business owner in Herrin and even served as Herrin's mayor for a short time. My uncle Brian runs Swinford Tax Service here in Herrin, and my dad Bill got his start as a journalist here in his hometown of Herrin, working for the Herrin Spokesman newspaper, where my mom Kim also served as a columnist, and they lived in Herrin up until my family moved to Marion in the 1990s. So we're excited to continue our relationship with the town of Herrin and continue to showcase the many great things that the town of Herrin has to offer. We also use our Herrin Independent newspaper to bring the great news of Herrin every single week. Be sure to pick up a copy to stay connected with Herrin through the newspaper as well. You can set up a subscription by visiting www.swinfordpublications.com.
Well, I'm excited to get to dive a little deeper into Herrin and get to know the people better. That's one of my favorite things about what we do. I've been working for the Swinfords for almost 3 years now, and I love getting to know the people in our community and the folks that we serve. Now, if you saw something on this broadcast that you like, be sure you drop us a comment and let us know what it is. If you saw something that you think a friend might like, tag them in the comments or share this broadcast to them so that they can check it out for themselves. We really love interacting with you and hearing about what you're interested in.
Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time here on the Herrin Live. For Rachel Stroud, I'm Riley Swinford. Good night.